Good evening, everyone. My name's David A. Romero. I am the editor-in-chief of El Martillo Press. Thank you so much for attending our live reading tonight at Teatruchas Centro Cultural here in beautiful Sylmar, California. It is an honor and a pleasure to be presenting before you all tonight. Thank you so much to those of you who are watching at home. We appreciate you deeply as well. So we have a phenomenal lineup of poets tonight. We have 4 of our initial 5 writers, along with a sneak preview of one of our Wave 2 authors to be published this December. So very, very exciting. Yes, thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and read our mission statement. As El Martillo Press. El Martillo Press publishes writers whose pens strike the page with clear intent, words with purpose to pry apart assumed norms and to hammer away at injustice. El Martillo Press proactively publishes writers looking to pound the pavement to promote their work and the work of their fellow pressmates. There is strength in El Martillo. So, once again, my name is David A. Romero. I am your MC for the evening. I will be introducing all of the poets, but I am a poet myself. I'm going to go ahead and start with a poem. This poem is from my collection, My Name is Romero, published by Flowerson Press. And I'm going to go ahead and read a piece in here. This piece is called The Ladder, for Anastasio Hernandez Rojas. And Anastasio was a painter and a roofer who was beaten to death by Border Patrol outside of San Diego. This poem is dedicated to him and all working people struggling for a better life for their families. Tijuana is a ladder. San Diego is a ladder. My name is Anastasio. I know all about climbing ladders. I'm a painter, a roofer. They tell me, coyotes or police, one day I will fall off in screams and shadow, crash in bones and blood. I smile. You'll only fall if you look down. We'll only look down if you're too afraid to climb. I've never been afraid. I know all about climbing ladders. I'm a painter, a roofer. This life is a ladder. Tijuana is a ladder. The desert is a run. Parched lips are a run. Dry throat is a run. Blistered feet are a run. Hours waiting for work are a run. The bosses are a run. Cheap pay is a run. ICE, La Migra, La Policia runs. But between the aluminum is a view, each view more beautiful than the one before it. My kids go to college. They find work in the shade, never having to spend a day climbing ladders in the sun. I buy my wife a car. It runs. A new washing machine, a dryer, they run. Ours for the first time. My wife, every child under one roof. They run around this house, this freshly painted house. It shines like the afternoon. It rests at the top of the ladder. I can see it. I can breathe it. I can taste it, like when I rise from my work and rest on my haunches. Look out over a roof, see the tiles fitting near completion. A glass jar of money, almost full. I can see it. The border is a ladder, and I am getting closer. With each job, each crossing, even at night, I will climb. My hands will grasp each run because I have to, because I am almost there. My hands up, grasp air, hands up. I fall, hands up, my hands reach out, hands up, they surround on the desert floor, more than a dozen black uniforms, shouting figures, malevolent faces illuminated by the glow of tasers, striking like rattlesnakes, they sting and bite, I cringe and cry, each kick is a run, each baton is a run, each kick is a run, each baton is a run, each kick is a run, each baton is a run. So many runs. The light from the house fades. Somewhere over the border is San Diego. But where has the ladder gone? Thank you. All right. So as a press, that's what we hope to be about, to tell the stories of working people wherever they may be, to tell their stories, tell their struggle. And the first poet that I'm going to welcome up to join us in this effort is our author, yes, Donato Martinez. Yes. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and read his bio because we're being fancy today. All right. Donato Martinez was born in a small pueblo, Garcia de la Cadena, Zacatecas, Mexico, and immigrated into the United States at 6 years old. He teaches English composition, literature, and creative writing at Santa Ana College. He has also taught classes in Chicano studies. He has been a co-coordinator of the Puente program for 25 years. He hosts and curates many artistic events that feature poetry and music at his campus or in the community. He is also a poet and writes about his barrio experience, his community, his Chicano culture, bilingual identities, and other complexities of life. He is influenced by the sounds and pulse of the streets, people, music, and the magic of language. He has a self-published collection with 3 other Inland Empire poets, Tacos de Lengua. His work has been published by CityWorks, East Side Rose, the Accentos Review, San Diego Poetry Annual, Ofrenda Magazine, the Mixtape Literary Journal, Latina A.O. Literatures, and La Raíz Magazine. He loves the outdoors and is inspired by books, music, and his children, Gabriel and Abigail. Give it up for Donato Martinez.
Thank you for the introduction, David. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. How's everybody feeling tonight? You guys doing well? Thank you guys for coming out. People from the Bay Area, from San Diego here. Thank you to Tia Chuchas and Jackie and your team here. This is a very beautiful spot, and this is a really like a dream come true for me because I have to thank Luis Rodriguez, so maybe you guys can express my gratitude towards him because when I was a young college student, I was reading Concrete River and Trochimochi, right? And I was like, man, that's like, those are our stories, right? These are the stories. And it's like, there's very few of us that we were looking up to in terms of the writing. We're talking like going back 20, 25 years ago. And then when I became a professor, I read Always Running, and that book changes anybody's lives, whoever reads it. And then I taught that book in my classes, right? In my intro to composition class. And we did that for like 25 years. And then one time Luis Rodriguez was asked to go read poetry at our campus by the Puente Project. And the Puente Project asked me, say, Donato, we know you read poetry, so would you like to open up for Luis Rodriguez? And this was like 20, 25 years ago, right? And so I said, yeah, of course I'd like to read some poetry. It's an honor, right? And so, you know, fast forward 25 years, you know, we're in the middle of this pandemic, right? And I'm teaching a Chicano literature class, and my student says, hey, do you know Luis Rodriguez? I said, well, I mean, I don't know him, and I don't think he remembers me, but this says, you know, could you ask him if he wants to Zoom with us, you know, because we've been reading his poetry and stuff like that. So I asked him, I communicated with him, and I reached out to him, and he Zoomed with us. And it was like so gracious, and our students loved it, and then we got books from him, and he signed the books, and it was fantastic. And then like 2 years later, I'm putting this book together, and there's one person that I said, I got to contact to see if he'll provide like a little blurb for me. And I contacted Luis Rodriguez, and I know he's very busy, right? And he wrote a little blurb for a review of my work, and it's like a full circle. So you guys tell him how gracious I am and how it's so beautiful to be at his spot right here, you know. So I know that cuts into my time, and I realize that, and so I'll keep my set shorter because of that. But thank you. I wanted to say that. Okay. All right. Yeah, that was nice. Thank you. This is a story about the beauty and the sadness of our barrios, and the sometimes the unfortunate things that take place. And it's called Potholes in My Street. And if any of you guys know De La Soul, member De La Soul just passed away about 3 months ago. And they have a really great song. If you listen to hip hop, Caesar, I know you listen to hip hop because I was there, right? So it's like, they got a song called Potholes in My Lawn. So when he passed away, I was listening to that song a lot, right? And then I was writing this poem, and the title came to me so easily. So it was Potholes in My Street. The garbage man still comes on Mondays. The mail still delivered every day. The bills somehow make their way out to our hands. In the front porch, the senora next door caresses and cuddles her cats. Music blasts out of a nearby open kitchen window. The voice of Antonio Aguilar reminds her of Zacatecas, and the tear trickles down her cheek. A young chavalo races after the ice cream truck as the wind cuts his face. The dog barks all night. The roosters crow at 5 in the morning, and somehow the borrachos stumble home safely past midnight. My mother worries about not having enough with $100 for groceries that my father gives her, so I can't buy Doritos today or Ding Dongs. And she says regular cornflakes is just as delicious, but I don't think she's ever tried Frosted Flakes. My father asked me to untie his shoelaces off of his crusty construction boots. His socks are stiff and dirt and particles of sand fall to the floor. His feet are moist and sweaty and smelly from a long day. I hate doing this shit, but I'm his son. The bus will come by tomorrow to pick up the neighborhood kids. The cheese from the pizza will melt on the plastic wrapper, but I can't complain because I'm on a free lunch program. Tonight I will doodle or draw because I'm dreaming of becoming an architect. Last night, nearby gunshots lit up the black sky like fireworks because last night someone was celebrating. The bullets exploded the cold night, but a young boy was pierced and he won't make it to school tomorrow. The bare concrete walls will become a memorial of colors. Names and letters will be inscribed. The drab street will be filled with potholes, will become beautiful. The drab street filled with potholes will become beautiful with flowers, cards, teddy bears, balloons, and candles. And there will be a car wash this weekend. Here in the humble streets of this barrio, homes are constructed in the corners of backyards. Sheds become bedrooms. Shacks become kitchens. Garages become living rooms. Everything old and unused becomes a possibility. Old furniture is nailed back in place. Worn-out couches are reupholstered. Useless wood becomes a kitchen table, a chair for the porch, a shelf in the living room. Tomorrow, the sunshine will break through the cold early morning clouds. The hummingbirds will still linger around the fragrance of the beautifully scented flowers from my mother's garden, and bees will suck the nectar from the tunas and nopales, and the trees will continue to bear its fruit, oranges, guayabas, and lemons. Men will work on their greasy cars late into the night, a light rigged up from an orange cord that runs from the house. Car parts and tools will remain scattered overnight on the driveway. Spanish words will be heard in between English. I will be reminded of aguacates and chilaquiles and mijo. The novelas will remind the young señoras of a broken heart, of a love that they left behind because their men are too clumsy to love. And as I walk home from school, an old viejita will need help with her groceries. She reminds me of Mama Lupe still in the pueblo. This is the barrio that I've grown to love, but a young boy named Juanito lost his life last night, and this tragedy is not part of the barrio ecosystem, yet sometimes I think that it is. But I still don't want to hear of another fucking car wash. I don't want to hear the sound of fireworks in the middle of the night. I don't want to see candles or flowers or even cute teddy bears scattered on the street. I just want to see the bare, boring concrete walls, and I just want to see the potholes on my street. Thank you. I was listening to Caesar's, my pressmate's interview today with Brenda Baca on IG, and he was talking about working class individuals, his collection. He'll tell you about his collection. But I'm reminded about all the men all of the men, right? The type of work that they do. And I don't know if you guys know what ficheras are, but ficheras were these, yeah, some of you guys are right. Okay. Yeah, why do you know, dog? You know? Ficheras are these women that hang out at the cantinas, at the salones, like these old school like cantinas. And, the men go there to drink and smoke and listen to the jukebox and share a drink with a fichera. And sometimes the ficheras will come up and no me compras un trago or no bailas conmigo, just like as a form of entertainment, right? So a lot of our men, from our our parents' generation, they'd go out to these cantinas and things like that. So this is really a story, a tribute to these men, but the men that sometimes needed that escape, need that alcohol sometimes, right before they settle into their homes. So it's called Drunk Deals. Hardened men pour out when the sun sets. Battle brews hunched over and coughing up residue after inhaling dangerous chemicals from working in unsafe conditions and poor ventilation. These men are fathers, are tios, compadres, factory workers, mechanics, ditch diggers, gardeners, pescadores, cement sewer pipe builders, roofers. The dust on their backs, sweat on their foreheads, permanent oil smudges between nails and skin. And muscles and veins, they bulge from their arms. Their cracked, calloused, cut, bruised, pinched, battered hands have rarely held the pencil, but now they grasp a 40 ounce in a brown paper sack. The first bitter taste of alcohol burns their throat, but slides like honey. They listen to some old Spanish songs that crack from the muffled speakers of their old beat-up Silverado in the driveway. This quiet moment of peace that they enjoy before walking into the chaos of the house, because children need new school clothes and backpacks, and then mujeres need new shoes. Other tios stumble into an old cantina, they dance with ficheras, they smoke half a pack of cigarettes and slump over the bar. And past the lingering, burning clouds of smoke among chattered laughter and loud norteño music, his sobrino musters all the courage of scrawny, freckle-faced mocosillo. Vamos, tío. My tia's waiting for you in the car. She's really mad. Oh, sí, está bien enojada. And tío's finally laying across the ripped back seat of the passed-down Toyota Tercel. The stench of alcohol and cigarettes permeates the car. Between sniffles and deep breaths and whimpering like a scolded child, he says, I love you, mujer, perdóname. I know, vieja, I won't go again. I don't have a girlfriend, I promise you. His words are etching promises again and again, just like last week and the week before. And tears are streaming down his face, and for once this time, he's shredding his masculinity like peeling layers of old skin from his working, calloused hands. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to read, let's see. When I was young, I had a lot of, we had to figure out ways to make money. And I used to throw the paper out. You guys remember back in the days, like young men and women were throwing the paper out like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning? Yeah? I did that. You did that, Paul?
Sunday paper is heavy.
Oh my God, the Thursday with the coupons and the Sunday. Oh my God, you had to go out in two trips, just for the neighborhood. So that was me, right? I used to throw the newspaper, right? And then when I got older, I was like, I did it for 7 years. I was like, I'm sick of this shit. Waking up at I felt like my dad, waking up my dad's working making big cement sewer ditch pipes, and he was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to work, and he used to tell us no quiero que ustedes vengan a la casa con grasa en la pinche cola. I need you guys to go to get an education and shit, right? And I was after 7 years of throwing the newspaper, I was, man, I'm sick of this shit. I'm gonna quit my job, right? And I was like, how am I gonna make money? So I went to work at the liquor store, stocking alcohol and stuff like that. So this is a poem about, it's starting about the liquor store, but it's also about, it's about a love, a broken heart. So, all right, it's called I Used to Work at a Liquor Store. I used to work at a liquor store when I was young, stocking and stuffing the ice cooler with beer bottles and aluminum cans. I was mesmerized by the colorful liquor bottles behind the counter, too expensive for a poor kid. My favorite was the dark liquid in a green bottle. And tonight, I think of you. And I remember the laughter erupting from our throats, maybe because of the many drinks that I shared with you. Yours were fruity and colorful and sweet, and mine were dark and sour and bitter, whiskey that burned my throat. But I was happy because every time I drank, I would see two of you. It would be nice if you thought of me tonight on my birthday. Call me, even though I hate birthdays, because it reminds me of my sadness and no one understands it, except the falling star in the night sky, the solo guitar strumming in the early hours, the heavy ripe fruit that falls from its tree only to be forgotten or trampled, the alcoholic street vagrants, the woman fingering her change while waiting for a bus, or the child streaming tears missing her mother for weeks now. I am all the sad music, crushing in my bones. I am the promises from your lips that never came. I'm the end of a book that never should be finished. I wait for you, baby, again and again, night after night, only to hear your voice so that it soothes my loneliness. Tonight, I might forgive you for the hurt. I might even let you hold my hand to watch our bare feet leave imprints on the damp sand, but you will not call. I know this because I know you. So tonight, I'm going to be alone, and I'm going to let the alcohol burn my throat again. One drink to remember and one drink to forget. All right, this is my last piece. Thank you guys for coming out. Norma, it's good to see you. I'm going to see you next weekend. Javier Francisco, we go way back from Cal Poly. That's my homie right there. It's all love right there, okay? So say hi to him. David, thanks for hosting us. Thank you, Tia Chucha's beautiful spot, okay? All right, this is my last piece right here. How many of you guys love music? Yeah. Yeah, this piece is, I'm always listening to music, especially hip hop. So this is, this is, it's about the blend and the mixture of music all the way from like Canada all the way to the tip of South America and everything in between. Mestizo Picadillo. Mestizo beats on underground airwaves, sampling and scratching, mixing and mingling, blending and bending, borrowing and taking. Lyrical passwords are breaking the rusted chains of slavery and waking decayed and skeleton skulls and bones running through clay earth and creeping through time, ticking and talking to packs of wolves and ancient sacred spirits, humming, crumbling, rumbling and tumbling. Tribal Tenochtitlan temples, live hearts are oozing and they're dripping with the warm sacrificial blood just spreading and descending past the descendants of Machu Picchu with ceremonial calypso and conga drums thumping it. Inca flutes and Aztec conch shells, solo strumming acoustic guitars and bass-infested Caribbean beats are sliding and electric boogalooing. They're birthing births and deaths and rebirths to Pan-Africans, mulattoes, Sambos, and Indians, Mestizo school children, and all of our brothers and sisters and Creole teachers. And they're scratching and scrawling on chalkboards. They're rewriting and recreating history, but it's not his story. It's actually our story, and we're checking it. Checking it. Cacophonous, hieroglyphic, rhythmic bebops and hip-hops, rattling rattles, maracas and timbales, carving, etching cherub flesh, slicing and slipping infant eardrums, strange voodoo sounds and ho-hos and mojos, shrieking curses and chanting, speaking in tongues and smoking peace pipes, and we're slowly burning incense, evenings of surreal dreams and late night screams, scandalous vibrations of pelvic gyrations. They're whispering sweet and charming incantations in between moist blankets of midnight snake-wrapped lovers just for the funk of it, ferociously grooving and freaking, shaking and baking and jamming and jiving. Secretly and discreetly, we're scribbling our heartbeats on dark corners of our virgin sacred land that America and Columbus has not yet tainted. Thank you very much. That's my set. You guys stick around. We got a lot of great poets tonight, so thank you guys very much for coming out.
Yeah, give it up for Donato one more time. So, Donato's collection is Touch the Sky. You got to get that book. It's everything that you just heard and more. It's so fun. It's so rhythmic. It takes you back. It paints such a vivid picture, and it's one of those books that you want to read the poems, out loud to yourself. It will make you a poet, even if you're not a poet already. All right, next up we have Margaret Alicia Garcia. Margaret Alicia Garcia is the author of Graft, a collection of Chicanx noir short stories set in Southern California and published by Martillo Press. The ebook Sad Girls and Other Stories, and the audiobook Mary of the Chance Encounters, and the poetry chapbook Burn Scars, published by the Lit Kit Collective. She's the co-editor of the forthcoming Red Flag Warning, Northern Californians Living with Fire, to be published by Heyday Books in 2024. She's the co-founder of Pachuca Productions, a Latina theater troupe producing original and social justice plays in the Lost Sierra, and teaches a poetry class with the Community Literature Initiative in Los Angeles. The Daughterland is her first full-length poetry collection. Give it up for Margaret Alicia Garcia.
Thank you. And thank you, David and El Martillo Press and Tia Chucha. I'm excited to be here, especially after that drive. And no cane. Sorta. Okay. All right. So I'm going to read some poems I haven't read with you guys yet. So maybe this will set it up. My style. My style is staying up way too late and gets up too early and forgets what I was going to do next before I had my coffee. My style is a list of things to do interrupted by teenage children needing forms signed, taxi service, interrupted by my own mother to soundboard her new adventure plans as a traveling widow. My style is a boss with one more thing and then you can go. My style is too old for the junior department, too young to be top button, and always the right age for kick-ass boots. My style is generosity without the press lease. My style, rather be home, rather be with him, rather have secrets, rather be completing things I set out to do. My style does not do well 9 to 5. My style is decried dangerously. My style does not sit with the other parents well. My style finds me at the misfit table. My style is cat over dog, cook over hug, feature story over ambulance chase, teach criminal over entitled brats. My style was mountain till it burned, beach when I can reach them. My style, I pray, has done none of them harm. So that's me. All right. So I have one kid who's 18, one kid who's 20, and a white husband. So he was, kicked out when he was 18, like, go, you're an adult, go out and do something. And we're not that way. So my son who's 20 was threatening to move out. I'm like, you can't afford it. Stay until you're 30. And he's okay with that. My husband's like, what? All right. So, yeah. So this is called Coming of Age. This is my, all the poems of my past life before I moved down here. They waited while their children watched other families take fun trips, make plans, take sands, and they said nothing. When their children were 8 and 10, anxiety settled into their brows, waiting for ice knocks on twice-locked doors, a huge secret, the near invisible barrier, a wall no one can climb, made of us and made of them, made of a single elusive piece of paper that proclaims who is American and who is not. They were given the burden of our mistakes. Shh, not even your friends can know. We all wait and scour the news, the purgatory of hope. That is the way the immigration wind blows. Papa does the driving and the legal signing, leaving the house every morning with an unwelcome clump lumped in his throat. Mama stays on the inside, away from the doors and windows, as her American children wrestle with hyphens and allegiances and language they understand way too well and not at all. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not giving any of these introductions, am I? And I'll continue with that. This poem is called Spanish. It was first published in a Huizache journal a few years back. And in my head, I call it my Pocha excuse poem. So there you go. Huh? He's finishing his last sentences in Spanish. He never spoke it with us, saved it for drinking buddies and brothers, for secrets and music. It was the language of birth, self, and derision. No children, grandchildren were going to be denied bathrooms and bank loans because a different language brought by different conquerors brought us down. He spoke a wry sort of English, limited, under his breath, and did not mind that we turned pocha y pocho as we came out, derided as we are by these people called real Mexicans who want their American hyphenated or not at all. But my grandfather doesn't remember English now. Spanish from the hospice bed stings the ear in its sweet exclusionary sound, a lilt of yet one last example of all the distance between us. Thank you. It is, it's a very big pleasure to me to be on El Martillo Press. Because I spent my young life occasionally publishing a poem, but was often not academic enough for those journals, and I don't memorize anything, so I wasn't a street poet, wasn't a slam poet, could not be there. So I was existing in this netherworld between. And so I'm very thankful for David and Matt for finding me a home. All right, so I guess I'm reading you all the personal ones. Leaving her father. He made what came natural, a reward or a punishment, kept his skin far from mine, his heart buried in an unmarked grave as I kept my mind and heart from him. I left the ghosts of who we were, haunting that solitary house in the middle of the woods where dark nights cast darker shadows. I thought too often about my own death, our escape. She stood in the doorway of that ghostly place, convinced she alone could raise the dead. So I'm just going to read one more towards the end here. It is the end. So this book, Daughterland, has a lot of personal poems that, to me, have a political bent to them. That's how they fit in El Martillo, I think. And they all have to do with raising a teenage daughter during COVID and the mental health breakdown therein. And then the following year, our town burning down. So our family in particular really had a rough 2.5 years. And then this book came out from it. So I'm grateful it had a good place to land. I am so happy that my daughter is 18 and she's 5 months pregnant with my grandson, and she'll be off to be a junior at Whittier College next month. And she's so nice now. So nice now. Because she's like, fuck. And I'm like, hi, sweetie, I'll watch the baby while you're in class. We're good. We're good. All right. So this goes out to mothers, because it's hard. It's a hard-ass job. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I'd do it again, but I wouldn't wish it on. It's not for the weak. Bone. We are not the rib cage, not pulled from Adam, just the heart, unprotected, broken, raw, gnawed. It still hurts to breathe, winded, punctured. This is how mothers live. Not contained, not protected, nor constricted. We come to the fight armorless and plunge deep into these battles, despite the consequences. Love with a fierceness we hope they feel at their most desperate moments in their very bones. Thank you.
Yeah, give it up for Margaret. Her collection, The Daughterland, something that I've been meaning to say about it for a while in all the different radio interviews and the different performances. But what makes that book, one of the things that makes that book so compelling is that it reads like a novel. Her sense of storytelling is so powerful about her own life. And the pain and the honesty and the rawness of the emotion and the expression there, and tracking the events, the course of her and her family's life is just so beautiful and so compelling. And that's a very rare thing in poetry and poetry books. So I highly, highly recommend you check that out. Next up is Cesar K. Avalar. Yes. Oh, no, brother. Unless you want me to read your bio while you're up here. No, go ahead. We could do that. That'd be cool, you know. All right, so Cesar K. Avalar is the second poet laureate, the second reigning, defending poet laureate of California, of Pomona, California. As a poet, Cesar is dedicated to the working class. His poems speak the truth, not only to people in a position of power, but also to the everyday person that views the working class as a stigmatized identity. Cesar is of Central American descent. His mother is an immigrant from Honduras, and his father is from El Salvador. Caesar's poems tell the stories of workers of color, their families, and the obstacles they faced in the United States, not just as workers, but as immigrants living in a country where their existence is commodified. Caesar is a resident poet for Cafe Con Libros Press, a cultural center and bookstore. He runs Obsidian Tons Open Mic, which strives to bring poetry, art, and free expression to the community of Pomona. Give it up for Caesar.
All right. Well, first of all, let's give it up for Tia Chuchas, y'all. Man. This space to me is sacred, no lie. Like, you know, the building before, that was the first time I had ever like, you know, spit a poem in front of anybody before. My homie George was right there. You know, I'm over here stumbling, and full circle, like now I have a book published. The homie Louis wrote a beautiful blurb. You know what I mean? It is a super community spot that believes in its artists, you know. So just big ups to Tia Chuchas, Trini and Louis, amazing people laying down foundations. So let's get to it. I write blue-collar poetry, the sociology of the factory, the one that academics like to write about, but they don't never live. So I like to bring that lens, and hopefully I could do that today. This is called El Jefenica, about a super conservative, I'm not sure if I have to watch my language, so I won't, no, motherfucker, you know what I mean? That's how it goes. Because in the factory, you know, we're so divided by nationality hard, and that leaks over because of the competition for space. And I write about those elephants in the room. So this is called El Jefenica. He parts his hair like a good old American boy. Nothing can save him. He wears his high-water slacks, tucked in company shirts. He's already lost. He is Somoza's broken dream, an admirer of dictators, a manager who rules with an iron fist he wishes was his own. He makes good money, riding the backs of those that make it for him. He is more than American. He is the desire of being white. His arrogance is weakness. His iron hand is a mitten, way too soft to be real. He isn't Nicaragüense anymore. He's a sold nationality, a lost identity, working on the roads of survival, getting lost in a factory he knows is a cage. His workers are losing their fear. His bosses already giving him up. He's just another man who falls on a porcelain face. Just another brother who sadly chose to live an overthrown dream. That's it. Woo. Yeah. You know, it's crazy. You know what I mean? We all know systems oppress. That's a fact. But oppressing each other, like, you know, we have to write. You know, we gotta write about that. We gotta write poetry about that, y'all. So blue collar poetry, you know, write it. This is called She Sells Sacred Roses. Her skin is dust of breathing mountains. Each wrinkle a root that makes the city stop. A face that pinches the eye, a voice that makes the heart calloused, beaten, wandering proletariat in the dreams of stolen power. She is the flower, an elder's tired eyes, her silent gaze, shackled words hiding like history at point-blank range. The petals of her roses are dark red lips, converse with canyons. Her small feet are the walking brush of spirits, painting the sidewalk with our buried history. We are all from this woman's skin, born from her rivers of sweat, running through her caves of echoing pores. In her eyes, we are all stars, all the same, all born from the roses she is desperately trying to sell. All right, y'all. Gracias. Okay, I like reading this one. It's not such a downer. This is cool. Big ups to people that tell jokes. Like, you know, like in production lines when you need that shit. That shit is super therapy. And you know what I mean? Like, hey, you need that. You need someone that's down to, like, break character. Like, yeah, this is messed up, but, you know, let's have some jokes. And it's very powerful. So this is called Laughter to Liberation. Jaime tells a joke, and his tongue restructures this whole factory. Turns production lines to congregation, turns laughter to liberation, the workers' autonomy, a possibility, a dream, a chant, a joke, a smile, hope. Hope to own the means of this whole place. Machines, talent, time, profits, everything, hope. Jaime tells a joke, and this shit becomes possible. Elba, a lady no one likes, a lady that makes novelas in her head, whispers centuries of conflict with chismes every day. Jaime tells a joke, and she is forgiven. Jaime tells a joke, and old man Serafin feels as young as when he first heard it. He looks into the air, the ceiling, the time, the clock, the smiles, the tingles of feeling alive again. Jaime tells a joke, and people who are hardened become soft. Jaime tells a joke, and workers come together, close their eyes, feel their way, laughter turn to power. Jaime tells a joke and rearranges this whole factory, opens people, opens mind, opens hope, opens laughter. Jaime tells a joke, and liberation is a smooth ride. La paleta, all right. This food, hey, y'all wanna make me cry? That's fucked up. No, just kidding. Cool. This is called. This is a very embarrassing poem. It's called Canelita. I hope no worker goes through this ever. Okay. The more I move, the more I begin to leak. The cactus juice I drank in the morning is way too strong. Its power runs deep, deeper than production lines. It's our mother's hands, the juice that comes from desert lips. It's what viciously fights the poisons of man. She could care less about the 90-day probationary period for new hires. My legs are clenched. My stomach is pushing. I've been holding for 6 hours, running around, unloading, lifting pallets, the repeated cycle over and over again. While trying to walk, my face becomes red. It burns like when a man loses all dignity, when he realizes that this world has nothing to offer, not even a bathroom break to take a shit. Managers are trying to see who can hang and who can go home. All eyes are watching. Out of nowhere, I feel something inside me come out. The slimy feeling in my cheeks begins to talk. The ancient gushing voice of the cactus begins to say, "Hijo, esto no es normal." As soon as lunchtime hits, I slowly walk to the bathroom. I sit on the toilet, look down, and there they are. The shit streaks that don't lie. My manhood stripped and put on display for my spirit to see. While sitting here, I begin to laugh. These shit stains are shaped like Central America. I can see my people in Honduras, where factory workers have been known to wear diapers while working. While sitting here, I can't help but to laugh, fighting back tears while looking out into the sun through a small bathroom window and say, "Puchica loco, pásame un pamper." Yeah. Shit, y'all. Yo. That's confession, fool. That's blue collar ceremony right here. I don't know what you call that shit. Yeah. You know? Sometimes you need the job, dog. You know? All right. And this is called the backbreaker. This is an oldie but a goodie. The clock is ticking, the workload is piling up, and the elderly man who covers me on my break looks at my area like it's a hammer waiting to crack his own back. He nods his head with an accepting smile, then says, "Yas lonche, mi Cesarin, it's lunchtime, Big C's, but how can I leave this man with so much work? How can I work up an appetite knowing the situation is wrong?" So I say, "Déjeme limpiarla aquí de volada para que no se le haga tanto. Let me clean this up real quick so this won't be so much." He looks at me grabs his back, says, "Hijo, eres buena persona. Son, you are a good person." 5 minutes later, I go on break. My supervisor is watching, his slave tongue salivating. My first warning waiting to be given to me in a colonial language I will always refuse to speak or even understand. And here I am, getting in trouble for being a man, a human being, a heartbeat pounding in a corporate place where sentimientos are erased, where humanity is ripped from your spirit with just one swipe of a time card and just one wink of a laughing clock's wicked eye. In these moments, the souls of our people die. Why? Because our work is slavery's modern face, the hammer that breaks our own stained, stigmatized backs. We have become the vibrations of railroad tracks, the quotas that must be met, the food of the money system that is spit, chewed, and thrown away. And today, we became the forbidden tears that started in the break room and ended in the history of forever. Thank you. I think one more piece is cool. All right, cool. I'm getting some love right here. This fool said 12 minutes. All right, cool. This is La Paleta. This is a piece that means a lot because this is like the first, this is an old piece. This is the first piece I ever read out loud to anybody, and it was right here, like in this space, but in the other building. Yeah. Even an ugly day's beautiful when you have money. Children from the neighborhood run to their parents when the paletero man yells, "Paletas, paletas." But not my son, at least not today. Today we had to watch Sesame Street with the volume up at full blast just so we wouldn't have to hear the enticing yells of raspados, elotes, paletas. His cries shake the inner fibers of my soul. His sadness cuts deep and beyond the scar tissue of my identity. So now what? Now what, Uncle Sam? You take away jobs, I find ways to get money. You raise tuition and I find ways to obtain an education. My back is wet because you soaked it in stigma. You keep punching and I move forward. You give me your best shot, still can't put me down. Without any money, all I can do is think and read and dream. And I've come to the conclusion that you owe us a future and my son an ice cream. That concludes my set, y'all. And thank you so much. Tia Chucha, muchas gracias. And all of y'all, hey, man, thank you so much. And El Martillo, hey, brother, thank you all the time.
Caesar. Yeah, there's the raw honesty in that book as well. And yeah, I mean, I pissed myself at work once. I was working at the receiving department of a restaurant supply store, and yeah, where the trucks are coming in, and the truck drivers, oh, I need to get unloaded. I need to drive to North Dakota or wherever the hell, and you're the motorized pallet jack jumping off and switching and bills of lading and all this crazy stuff, and yeah, I pissed myself one day, and I just. I ran out, I'm like, oh shit, and the hose, out back, and I sprayed myself down. It's, oh, man, I had to clean something. I had to wash something off. Yeah, so fun times. All right, so on a different note, so we are very honored to be joined by one of our Wave 2 authors tonight. Yes. So I'm going to read her bio. Sonia Gutierrez is the recipient of the Tomas Rivera Book Award and the International Latino Book Awards for her novel Dreaming with Mariposas, Martillo Press 2020. She won an award, y'all, a big award. Give her a round of applause for that. Yes. Sonia Gutierrez, the author of Spider-Woman, La Mujer Arana, Olmeca Press 2013, and the co-editor of The Writer's Response, Cengage Learning 2016. She teaches critical thinking and writing, creative writing, and women's gender and sexuality studies. Presently, she is working on her first picture book, The Adventures of a Burrito Flying Saucer, and poetry collection, Sana Colita de Rana. She lives in the Californias. To learn more about Sonia Gutierrez and her work, visit her website, soniagutierrez.com. Give it up for Sonia. And she brought a music instrument. Yes.
Buenas noches, ¿cómo están? Bien. Eso se puede bajar así, ¿verdad? ¿Cómo está la gente de Facebook Live? ¿Están ahí? ¿Sí? Okay, muy bien. We're going to start with only work that appears in paper birds, feather by feather, pájaros de papel, pluma por pluma. And I want to start with Wicked World, so I think I should bring a chair. Gracias, David. So this particular poem opens a collection, and this is what it says. Wicked world. I was 5 when the world opened itself up to me. Opened-eyed, I peeked through its invisible curtain as our neighbor pushed Elvia off our second floor apartment. She, a white American goddess, unfurled her strength as Elvia scurried down the stairs. And then I was 6, when father told me the story of Garibay. When the town's eyes saw him gaze at male bodies thoroughly, the way men should only look at women's bodies, the town's tongues lacerated words like an uncontained Gomorrah chisme on fire. Days later, they found Garibay, quartered with a machete at the bottom of a ditch. I was 5 when the world opened itself up to me. It still does. It still often does. Pinks, pastels, and ruffles could not veil these dark eyes because the world had opened itself up to me for this wicked world to see. It still does. It still often does. So this is a poem that starts the collection. So it's an honor to be here at Martillo Press. So the first time it was what was it, David? A flower song press reading? Con la Iris. Yeah. So it was a really incredible reading. To see everybody during the pandemic was just an awesome experience. So here we are celebrating El Martillo Press, and I feel very lucky because I don't have a book yet with El Martillo Press, but just a little taste of this collection. So sadly, I do come from musicians and singers. I don't, unfortunately, know how to play an instrument, pero the only thing that I can play is a kalimba, but I lose things, so I lost the kalimba, and what we're gonna do is, what if I just strum it, and I'll read a stanza, and then I'll strum it, and then you'll think about the poem. Is that gonna work out? Yeah? Okay. I don't have my glasses on, so está cabrón aquí. Okay. Yeah, so, okay. They say animals don't feel, but have you seen the stare of the declawed tiger in his house made of glass? They say animals don't feel, but have you heard the birds flee from the lit eyes of tall buildings? They say animals don't feel, but have you seen the ambushed rhinoceros cry for her sawed-off horn? And they say that one day we will go see house sparrows at the zoo. But they say, you know, they say. That's all I'm gonna do with the guitarrita. I don't even think it's called a guitarrita, I think it's a jarana. Okay, so we're gonna put this away right here. So they say, I remember I got hired in Mount San Jacinto. It was gonna be an hour and a half drive for a year. It was like a full-time position for just 1 year. And I was worried because that was gonna be 3 hours a day, and then a week is going to be like 12 to 15 hours. And I was like, wow, I'm not going to have time to write poetry. So I was listening to NPR, and there was a story of that one day, where were the birds going to be? And so I thought about that, and then I thought, the only way that I'm going to be able to write poetry with this schedule is if I think about poetry when I'm driving. And so thanks to NPR and thanks to that long drive that I would never do. Actually, I do that now, and I somehow don't get tired anymore. But that's they say. And then this one, I wasn't really planning on reading, but I thought I would share it with you. So this one's Steady Skills. So it started as a very short poem. And then once I gave the collection a title, then I went back. I'm not like our poet laureate over here that has this amazing theme, right, of workers. So for me, it was, I had the birds. So then I tried to go back and see if I could, somehow add the theme of birds in the collection. That's how, I don't think you worked like that. I think from the beginning you saw the vision, and for me, I did see the vision, but then I tried to go back. So this is called Steady Skills. Again, it started short, and then it became a longer piece that's still short. Steady Skills. And I'm so sorry, but I'm very uncomfortable because I have gum in my mouth. Perdón. Okay, I'm gonna take it out. Okay, ahí está. Okay. Steady Skills. Little bird. Study what they do between the nights and days. The bold yays and nays with their duping delight smiles and hidden smirks. And then rise, little bird. Spread your wings and show those humanoids how high you can fly to the North Star. Y ya. So this particular poem, I already sent it out on Submittable, and it's almost going to be like that third month when they're supposed to get back to you, and it hasn't happened. So it'll be very sad, if they, rejected. Regardless, we're gonna share it here at the Achucha. And how did this one was born because I was on the internet and I came across the story of this incredible bird that had been discovered, like for the first time. And I was just like, ay, por favor. Okay, so it's called Chirpy Little Grosbeak. Is it grosbeak or grosbeak? I think it's grosbeak. Chirpy little grosbeak. Chirpy little rose-breasted grosbeak. Science already has a name for you. Bilateral gynandromorph. They discovered you. You laugh at the pomposity of their discovery. Scientists allege your gynandromorphism evolved 64 years ago when they discovered red male and female yellow feathers in one bird. When they looked at you, beautiful bird, their mouths dropped and uttered a rare occurrence. Like seeing a unicorn. Onlookers even called your sight bizarre. Giddy scientists extend your wings and display them for the world to see that. Yes, indeed, the plumage under your right wing emanates red, and the left canary yellow. Your red male wing is longer and tail split. What a discovery. You giggle at their naivety. What would scientists do if they discovered a bilateral gynandromorph Homo sapien? As they have done with you, beautiful bird, they'd aver, it's a rare anomaly. Don't listen to them, chirpy little grosbeak. Sing your song, since we both know you exist everywhere. In the duality of the regenerating lobsters, telescopic chickens, percussionist grasshoppers, and the sun-searching butterflies, that neither silly little Homo sapiens nor a chilly winter for now will halt your yellow and red feathers mighty flap. Wherever you fly this winter, Florida, Mexico, or Colombia, buen viaje, pajarito. From Flower Song Press, one of my pressmates is Gris Munoz. So she's the author of Cuatlicue Girl. And so it's a book that I've taught in my class. And it's a hybrid text, poetry, it has narrative essays, and then it has a sci-fi short story at the end of the collection. So I was thinking, you know, what if I die? What if I die and then I don't have a collection of short stories, you know? So then I was thinking, well, ¿por qué no? You know, let's do the bilingual poetry collection. It has Spanglish throughout because Francisco Bustos, a fellow poet, contemporary poet, Chicano poet, is translating those poems. And then I talked to David and Matt, and I'm like, hey, what if I add a short story? And then they know that I'm probably not going to listen to them. So they kind of just tell me, okay, Sonia. So the short story in English, the Spanish translation by Doctora Maria Dolores Bolivar, and so the Spanglish translation is in the making. Right, David? Okay, so just a little bit of the short story. Just a little bit, just a couple paragraphs. Teresa and the birds inside. Sitting uncomfortably at the DMV, Teresa looked around to see if anyone else could hear the noise above her. But strangers sitting next to her went about their business, filling out paperwork and waiting their turn. Grasping a clipboard, Teresa heard the sound hovering over her like an unannounced screeching owl coming at her. That's what surprised her. Owls hooted at night, not in broad daylight. It was closing time. 1 hour before Teresa would have her last opportunity to renew her desperately needed driver's license that would expire in a few hours. Teresa asked the red-whiskered man in a black leather vest sitting next to her, "Excuse me, sir, do you hear that?" "Hear what?" asked the stranger. "That sound," replied Teresa, pointing up with her index finger. "What sound?" Teresa asked the man. "You don't hear that?" As she looked up, unable to identify where exactly the noise was coming from, the man shook his head. In that large, undecorated room, no one seemed to be bothered by that distant sounds except Teresa. With her ears exposed to the world and fidgeting in her chair, Teresa filled in her name. And I think we're going to leave it at that. Okay. So that's the short story. A ver, yo creo que ya, just one last one, ¿verdad, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, one last one. Okay. And so this is from the Paper Birds collection. And I'm going to read it in English and Spanish because the book is bilingual, more like trilingual. Tell me about perspective. It's all about perspective, you say. Do you mean the peeled paint from a window pane perspective? Or the coming home to your favela made out of cardboard and tin perspective? Or do you mean the staring from the inside steel bars with clenched fist perspective? Or the working like an ant with a dry tongue exposed to the elements perspective? Do you mean the pushing of a grocery cart with ragged clothes and empty cans of pop through austere streets perspective? Or do you mean the sitting behind a desk calculating the numerical symbols from the bushels of cotton perspective? Oh, no. Wait, I think you mean the sipping of glass of Chardonnay on a yacht perspective. Or perhaps the driving a Mercedes to a restaurant to relish caviar pizza perspective. Or are you talking about the hiding behind the word perspective? Tell me about your perspective. Can you please give me more details? I'm dying to know what perspective you speak of. I'll tell you how that one started. Háblame de perspectiva. Todo tiene que ver con la perspectiva, me dices. ¿Hablas de la perspectiva desde el panel de una ventana con pintura descascarada? ¿O de la perspectiva de llegar a tu hogar, a una favela hecha de cartón y hojalata? ¿O te refieres a la perspectiva de mirar desde adentro, aferrado a las rejas? ¿O de la perspectiva de trabajar como hormiga, con la lengua seca día tras día, expuesto a los elementos? Hablas de la perspectiva de empujar un carro de mandado con trapos andrajosos y latas vacías de refresco por las calles austeras. ¿O hablas de la perspectiva de estar sentadote detrás del escritorio calculando los símbolos numéricos de los montones de algodón? Oh, no, espera. Creo que querrás decir de la perspectiva de beber una copa de Chardonnay a sorbos en un yate, o quizás de la perspectiva de conducir un Mercedes a un restaurante para comer pizza caviar, o hablas de esconderte detrás de la palabra perspectiva. Háblame de perspectiva. ¿Me puedes dar más detalles? Me muero por saber ¿de qué perspectiva hablas? So, to conclude, so I'm a professor, right? So I was teaching Malcolm X and the autobiography of Malcolm X, having a discussion, and one of my dear students said it was all about perspective. And I was like, wow, students are so inspirational. And then this poem came out. So thank you so much, Tia Chucha. Thank you so much, people that are behind the desk, and we'll be closing tonight. And also, like everybody in the audience, thank you for coming out. Let's go out and eat something after. Okay, thank you, everybody, and el Facebook. Gracias.
Thank you, Facebook.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, give it up for Sonia. Sonia's the homie. Me and her and Matt, we go way, way, way back. A lot of history there. It's some historical readings that will go down, will be remembered for a long, long time. Various poets responding to SB 1070 that wasn't even in the bio, but she's a critical part of keeping the legacy of all of those poems alive, which impacted so many people. Is it all right if I read one more poem for you? Yeah, all right, cool. Oh, shit, no, you don't want to hear more than one. All right, this poem is called That's a Rap / Ode to the Burrito. Who here likes burritos? All right, great. We got a round of, yes, many hands. All right, great. Although I was in Mexico City and they thought burritos were an absolute abomination, it was pretty funny. But yeah, so anyways, oh yeah, and that's where I got this shirt. It was picked out by the family that was hosting our delegation with Chicanx Sin Fronteras, and they said, we're gonna get you a nice shirt so that you can get married in. We're going to find you a wife here in Mexico City, and you're going to get married in this shirt. So, you know, who was I to turn that down? All right, so anyways, burritos. Oh, there we go. Oh my God, I've got the greatest idea. We'll take the pride of your people, the most significant dish your culture has ever produced, and we'll turn it into a sandwich. No, a salad. No, a hamburger. No, I've got it. We'll throw it all on top of a doughy flour tortilla and just wrap it up. Oh, fuck no. The seventh seal was broken, the seventh trumpet was sounded, and from the seas arose a dark and unholy beast. Its name featured on fast food menus and neon signs all over the country. The Rap, the focus group of foods. You were assembled from the rotting carcasses of recipes killed by cultural appropriation. You are a Frankenstein, a monster. And for those travelers who journeyed throughout Mexico and the Southwest on burros, who invented the burrito, the little donkey, you are truly an ass. Scraps of better foods whose quality was sacrificed at the unholy altar of on the go. You are simultaneously warm chicken and cool salad. You are lukewarm. I will spit you out and reject you as they reject us, those who want to cash in on the popularity of the burrito but deny Spanish from the menu, those who love Mexican food but hate Mexicans. And what have we given to the world? The burrito is a pillow for your mouth. It is a voluptuous breast, a full butt cheek. It is something to get lost in. It is carnitas, carne asada, and not ground beef, with or without a side of beans and rice, guacamole, please, but no pinche sour cream. The burrito is quite simply an essay on humanity's struggle for greatness. Greatness achieved. It is all the things that a rap is not. Burn raps forever. Burn all images of their name and likeness in effigy. And on that brave new day, you'll find me at El Tepeyac in Boyle Heights, Los Angeles, eating a burrito as big as your head. The end. Thank you. A lot of history there. The owner used to chastise my father. He used to tell him to, leave the counter or buy something, move on. All right, so anyways, our last reader of the evening is the legendary Paul S. Flores. Paul S. Flores is one of the most influential Latino performance artists in the country and is a nationally respected arts educator. He creates plays, oral narratives, and spoken word about transnationality and citizenship that spur and support societal movements that lead to change. Flores' ability to paint a vivid picture of the bicultural Latino experience is shaped by his personal background and experience growing up in Chula Vista, California, near the Mexican border. His body of work touches on the immigrant story in all its complexities, from the violent forced migration, gang life, war, incarceration, and separated families, to zooming in on intergenerational relationships and the struggle of preserving important cultural values. As a San Francisco artist of Mexican and Cuban American heritage, Paul S. Flores has built a national reputation for interview-based theater and bilingual spoken word. He integrates Latino and indigenous healing practices to tell the stories of real people impacted by immigration and systemic inequalities. Flores' work has played throughout the United States and internationally in Cuba, Mexico, and El Salvador. Paul is a Doris Duke Artist Award winner and inaugural NALEC Catalyst for Change awardee. His commissions have come from Creative Capital, La Pena Cultural Center, MACLA, MAP Fund, Bregones Theater, National Performance Network, SF Arts Commission, Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, and many more. Flores teaches theater and spoken word at the University of San Francisco. He is a teaching artist in creative writing with the Prison Arts Project at CMF in Vacaville and in San Quentin State Prison. He is the lead curator of Paseo Artístico, free bilingual community art stroll on 24th Street in the Mission District. He lives in San Francisco with his children. Give it up for the author of We Still Be, Poems and Performances, Paul S. Flores.
Thanks, everybody. I'm last, so I'm going to do 2 short poems, and then we can maybe get something to eat. I don't know, get us some drink. Thanks to David, Martillo, all the press mates, friends here, and definitely thanks to Tia Chuchas to be back here after 20 years is a interesting kind of just reflection on the last time I was here. I was touring my first book that I published, Along the Border Lies, my novel, and that was 2022. So it's been almost, 2002, it's been almost 21 years since I've been back here. Last time I had a book that I was bringing out, and now this is like the early copy of We Still Be, and I'm really, really thankful for the opportunity to publish a book of poetry with y'all. Have a lot of hope for El Martillo, and hope that everybody feels fulfilled in their, publication experience. Should be great, right? David read one of my poems last week, and it was funny to have your editor reading your poems to people in public. And so I'm like, wow, that was it. That's the one I'm gonna read first. But that makes me laugh that you chose that one. I don't know why you did, but that's interesting. Okay, this is called Pepsi Kiss. I was 12 years old the first time standing on her doorstep saying goodbye to Cassandra before her mama called her in from the block. She put her arms around my neck. I went numb everywhere except my mouth, where her hot tongue flipped mine over. I thought I heard waves crashing on the shore until I noticed I spilled the can of Pepsi I had been holding while we were kissing. It was soda running over my Vans. She giggled and said goodbye, but Cassandra held my 12-year-old life in her kiss. I stood there frozen in a pool of fizzled brown soda, unable to recognize myself. 2 weeks later, she went for the older dude across the street. Skater boy, 14, with golden hair, who could fight to show he wasn't no punk. They kissed in front of me in his front yard after a game of 2-on-2 football. I went home and played Michael Jackson, She's Out of My Life, over and over in my room, and cried that humid, never-ending summer. First kiss poem, 12 years old. Part of the book is memoir, and so the poems are looking back at myself growing up in a single mom family and then raising my kids while being a divorced father. So there's a little bit of a connection between the stories about my youth and the stories about me being a dad. So they kind of go together. Trying to show that, sometimes you can break generational trauma. Sometimes you don't have to repeat the same shit that was done to you. You can do better, right? And that's a lot about what I'm trying to do with my own children. Yeah. So I'm going to read this poem. My instinct is to be, I don't really do good behind the microphone. Just letting you know, I'm not that poet, but I got a book now, so I want to be book reading too. I want to be good at that, But you have to understand that my instinct is not here. That is not what my body and mind want to be doing. I want to be out there. I might get there tonight, but probably not, since it's a chill night. My energy might get too hot and I melt down the place. I don't want to do that. No. This is all right. So growing up as a kid, my dad's white, my mom's Cuban and Mexican. So I was often, I was raised by a single mom. So and my totally Cuban and Mexican family. That's how I was raised. My dad and his side of the family was not involved in my life after I was 3 years old. So I don't remember any of that. So growing up with having both identities inside of me was always a difficult thing to figure out how my whole life is brown, but my dad is white. You know what I mean? That's how it was growing up. And this is about a time he came to pick me up to take me to the drive-in. It's called Bruce Lee at the Arrow Drive-In. My father showed up one night at my grandparents' house to take me to the drive-in movie. A humid summer evening in El Cajon. My father's car crackled over the graveled lot of the Arrow Drive-In as he parked next to the short pole with a gray metal speaker attached. My father's thick, pale wrist reached through the half-rolled window, cigarette dangling from his lips, a beer between his legs, as he unlatched the metal speaker from the pole and attached it to the driver's side window. You remember doing that? My father took a sip of his Michelob, and the movie sparked to life. The metallic sound of fighting filled the car. Bruce Lee appeared on the outdoor screen, battling kung fu challengers and corrupt Chinese masters. Enter the Dragon, the first movie I saw with bloody violence and naked women. The first movie I saw with my father. I was 7 years old, hadn't seen my father in a couple years. I didn't say much the entire night. I never moved in my seat, never asked for candy or popcorn or soda, not because I was afraid to ask my father, but because the movie was so intense. My attention was riveted by Bruce Lee, this man in the car next to me, emanating some power in his seat. My father, the movie, my father, the man, my father, the myth, the focus, the swagger, the dance and speedy power of Bruce Lee. I couldn't peel my eyes for 2 hours. My father just sipped his beer, smoked his cigarette, and cackled every once in a while at what a badass Bruce Lee was. When it was over, he drove me back to my grandparents' house. It was late, and just before he dropped me off, he asked, "So what'd you think of the movie?" "I loved it," I said. "Don't tell your mom. She might get mad at me. She'd never take you to see something like this." So I told my mother he took me to see the Bruce Lee movie anyway. "So typical of your father to do that," she said. "I won't forgive him for taking a 7-year-old to an R-rated movie." It was one of the greatest examples of character he ever gave me. The flying fists, the sweet science, the long stare, the violent dance, the labyrinth of mirrors, the self-like water flow, the game inside the game, the teacher and the pupil, the philosophy. What was silent in the Father speaks in the Son. Cool. This is my last piece. This one is dedicated to Jimmy Santiago Baca. This is called Prayer to Sleeping Grandmother, Cerro Pedernal in New Mexico. We were on a hike with Jimmy and the class that he was teaching in New Mexico, and it was the last day of the retreat, and I was in my shit, and my emotions real big, just like having gone through such a mind trip with Jimmy inside the landscape of New Mexico with its just sandy desert cliffs and the gray and purple skies, and spending 3-4 days out there bugged me out. So I got real deep into where I was at that moment, and this is a prayer to the sleeping grandmothers. That's a mountain there. This morning, near Ghost Ranch, I hiked to the foot of the sleeping grandmother. I pray with an ancient New Mexican Tewa spirit and the ashes of Georgia O'Keeffe. Resting atop the mesa of Cerro Pedernal in the heart of the dry river basin. Over rocks, looking for arrowheads and rattlesnakes, ancestors bracing my steps, red and gray cliffs crowning me, voices of the birds surrounding me, persuading me to lay my carga at the foot of sleeping grandmother. Grandmother, hold my heart. Grandmother, bring me peace. Grandmother, help me raise my children with courage to be who I am. To send to stand strong in my home as a father should. Grandmother, speak to me like the thunder. Grandmother, bring me medicine to withstand the storm. Grandmother, strike lightning in my pen. Give me the voice to show my children the struggle to be a father has given me purpose. Grandmother, let this creativity come like the mountains returning my echo. My responsibility to feed, open mouths, waiting at my table, my children surrounding me. Thank you. Thank you, David, again.
All right, so this concludes our El Martillo Press authors rating. Give it up one more time for Paul S. Flores. We Still Be has blurbs from, oh my God, from Jimmy Santiago Baca, from Juan Felipe Herrera, from Tongo Eason Martin, from Bobby Lefebvre. So poet laureates from all over the country have reviewed this man's work, and for good reason. So let's give it up one more time for Jackie Garcia and Brian for holding it down here at Tia Chucha's for us this evening. Thank you so much. And and if I could have a favor, let's go ahead and get everyone in a group picture. So everyone come up to the front, if you will. You're gonna participate in this. And I will take a picture of you all. Yeah. Hey. All right, everybody, come on. Please, come on. Let's go. Venture forth. Everybody.